Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Spite, New World Killer, out October 31st on Rise Records. The album has 10 tracks, 32 minutes in length, and this is the band's fifth full-length studio album. They are an American deathcore band. Now, when it comes to the design of this record, the first thought that came to my mind is that, considering the length, 32 minutes, this is going to be a very compact, concise, perhaps even dense sounding record and overall experience. It's not the case. The album has a lot of life, a lot of energy, flows really well from song to song, and it's incredibly dynamic considering how much little room the album has to play with. So when you think about an album that has that kind of movement, that it's dynamic, that has shortened length, immediately you're going to get a record with an increased playability. This album just feels even shorter considering how dynamic it moves, considering how dynamic it presents its songs and what the overall experience of the album is all about. I enjoyed the design, I enjoyed the length. I think both of them give you the best out of this record and definitely elevate the overall quality, not just of the album, but of the individual songs. As far as the overall sound is concerned, this is definitely a brutal, heavy sounding record, but it's also a groovy sounding record. It's also a record that has a lot of richness to it and it's very textured. Some of these elements are not necessarily prototypical of the genre, but these guys were able to create an album that feels heavy, sounds heavy, it has a sense of brutality, it has a sense of intensity, but it also allows you to feel like there are moments, either within songs or specific tracks within the overall design of this record, that are a little bit easier to digest, a little bit more manageable. That the brutality of those tracks and the overall brutality of the record is not necessarily consistent at 100% from start to finish. It would have worked that way considering the overall length of the record, but I feel like the album offers a more mature presence and definitely offers a more mature sound when you start to dive deeper into what you can do musically without losing any of the heaviness that would be expected of the band to deliver on any given record. This definitely makes for a more complete soundscape, a more complete sounding album, and it gives the band a lot more tools. If you look throughout this record, the amount of times the bass creeps up in the mix is phenomenal. It not only adds grooviness to the overall sound, it also adds an underlining darkness that really helps define the record. It really helps give the record a little bit of an extra dimension to it. The guitar movement within this album is excellent. To me, the guitar sound overall on this album is excellent. The sound and execution, I should say. There is a part of the sound of the guitars on this record that is very consistent. It feels very thick, it has a certain density to it, a very specific distortion to it, that is perhaps the spinal cord of the overall sound and definitely the spinal cord of what the guitars are offering. But that's not the only thing you're going to get. You're going to get other guitar elements, other guitar sounds that, like I said earlier, add grooviness, add darkness, add richness, add layers. It just makes the songs feel not just robust from a heaviness standpoint, but also very robust in terms of what the overall layers of sound are and what they can offer to a listener willing to go a little bit deeper and willing to see a more complete approach to what a deathcore record could sound like. This album definitely checks all of those boxes. Once it comes to the vocal performance on this record, I feel like the vocal performance is as dynamic as the sound on the album is, as versatile as the sound on the album is, and it's extremely well connected with the experience that you're going to get musically. And that to me was an important aspect. You want the vocals to go hand in hand with the sound so that you can feel like the two are really collaborating. There's a sense of synergy between them that would allow this album to have a great presence, a great life, a great sense of energy and purpose. And I felt like this album definitely checks those boxes as well, because the vocal performance on this record is really good. I honestly was extremely impressed by it, because I felt at times the vocal performance added to the grooviness of the songs, definitely added in some cases to how catchy and how hooky some of the tracks are, and then not taking a one-size-fits-all approach definitely allows this record to be as versatile as it is on the sound than on the vocal side. When you put all of these things together, what you end up with is a very complete sounding record that has an amazing experience. New World Killer is definitely an album to check out from Spite. It's an album that doesn't redefine deathcore, but it also doesn't follow the current patterns that exist within the genre. I think it's an album that's more consistent to what the band wants out of themselves, to what the band sees themselves as, and allowing to be a little bit different, but still fall in line with what the genre normally offers. I love this direction, I love this style, I love this approach. It doesn't feel like conforming to a norm, but rather redefining what the norm is within the boundaries of what the band's sound and DNA is all about. As far as favorite songs go, I want to start off with GAVEL. Great opening as far as the guitar, bass sound, even the drums, everything really packing a nice punch. There's a sense of intensity at the start. That intensity is not consistent. It drops here and there, but every time that consistency of intensity drops, you're also going to see the guitar sound excel and go into different avenues, and that's where you're going to see the richness of the guitar sound, but also the texture that those guitars offer. It allows the track to feel groovier at times, it allows the track to have a hardcore presence at times, and it also allows the track to have a lot of death metal style riffage. So all of these things together really makes for a dynamic, not chaotic, but entertaining and engaging song all around. Then you have a track like Pledge. Definitely heavy, definitely fast moving, once again super rich guitar sound, really creating different vibes on this track, not necessarily trying to create a uniform experience from different angles. The guitars on this track definitely take you in different directions, but never necessarily breaking away completely from the path that the track is on. The bass that pops on this song, I didn't feel like it added grooviness to the track, but it rather added a certain darkness and a certain allure to the way the song is presented. The vocals very consistent with the heaviness and the brutality, matching the heaviness and brutality of the track. And like I said, it's a track that pulls you in a lot of different directions, but it never becomes pure chaos, and I think that is the selling point for a song like this. Last but definitely not least, Hand of the Reaper. This is, in my opinion, one of the most approachable, one of the most digestible songs on this record. It's the most catchiest, it's the most hookiest, not just from a musical standpoint, but even from a vocal approach standpoint. So this song really stands out because of that dynamic, because of that nature that it has. It's still heavy, it's still a very heavy sounding song, but I felt like it was more of a hardcore, it's definitely more of a groove, crossover style track than it is a pure deathcore song. It leans more towards that, and by leaning more towards that, like I said, it becomes more approachable, easier to digest, definitely a lot easier on the ears, which makes it hookier, catchier, and overall extremely memorable. This is it. Spite, New World Killer, once again out October 31st on Rise Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.